welcome everybody to the Hoop Chat. The Hoop Chat. Excited about this topic right here, dog. Let's go.
I learned how to win in college.
Process, right?
Absolutely. Separate the men from the boys. It will separate the real from the fake. It will separate the committed from the uncommitted, who really loves the game and who really don't.
Your network equals your net worth. 25 years of experience.
Oh, man, yeah, let's get to work. Let's get to work.
Oh man, let's get to work, man. And we are back. We are here, another episode of the Hoop Chat. It's your boy Coach Nelly, and I'm here with my boy Mar. And we got another exciting show for you guys.
Yes,
You already know it's NCAA March Madness time. So we here. Let's get it. Let's get to it. But first, make sure you guys go onto YouTube. Make sure you hit that search button, search up the Hoop Chat, hit that subscribe, hit that like button, watch the videos, comment, leave some words, anything that you got to say, man. As we continue to grow, we appreciate everybody that has vocalized, who has gone on to the site, who has subscribed, who has hit like, who has shared. It means a lot to us. We appreciate it. And we're just grateful, man.
Right, that's a fact. But
Whew.
Before we get into that NCAA stuff, some stuff has been happening over the weekend in the league. Yeah, so there's some there's some winners and some losers, but we're only gonna focus on one. I got a question for you. Is it a wrap now for the league now that the Nets have acquired LaMarcus Aldridge? Let's get to that.
Oh man. Is it a wrap for the league? It's a wrap for a lot of teams, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because the scary thing is with the Nets is we haven't seen them full staff yet, man. Like KD's been out resting. I know Kyrie's in and out of the lineup. Low management. I get it. They're preserving their guys, especially when you have a horse out like a KD, and you don't want to put so many minutes and so much stress on your other two main guys. So I get it. They're in and out, they're resting, load management, just preparing for to be healthy come playoff time and make that push for a championship. The scary thing is, just like I said, we haven't seen them all together. They went out and got Blake Griffin. They went out and just recently, as yesterday, they signed LaMarcus Aldridge. And so, look, they're going to be tough to beat, man. You got vets, you got some killers on that team. You have guys that can score the basketball however you want it, at all levels of the game. They got size now. They had DeAndre Jordan. You add a stretch big man like LaMarcus. I mean, to me, like, if you look at a team, they cover all the points. Check, 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 check. I know people hark on the fact that, they don't play defense and they don't. Listen, at this point, they understand what the final goal is. Are they out here exerting 110% on both ends on the floor, night in, night out, when they got to play 72 games? No. But best believe when it comes to playoff time and chip time, you will see a better Brooklyn Nets team and a focused team on that defensive end. They know. You got guys like Kevin Durant. You got guys like Kyrie Irving that already got chips. They understand when that moment happens what you got to do. And they'll be able to vocalize that to the other guys, because you have a guy like James Harden who wants to win a championship, and Blake Griffin and the other guys that join that team for that purpose. So it's scary, man. I mean, the only thing that, you might question is chemistry, but with the sacrifices that have already been made from the major guys, I think everybody else falls in line because, again, they understand what's at stake. So it will be interesting to see. I think they I mean, maybe the Sixers give them a 7-game series if they match up. I don't. In
Bum.
my opinion, I don't think Milwaukee does anything against them, huh?
I said I just watched them bums lose last night. Sixers.
I mean, Joel's not there, so you could make that argument. Whatever.
I'm,
Um, I don't know about a Milwaukee. And I'm just talking about Eastern Conference teams right now. But
not,
excuse me.
I think it's a wrap for the league, personally, and I think when KD comes back, I don't know. I guess this injury with him is more serious than just a strained hamstring. But look, if KD come back, bro, LeBron won't win another championship. If KD,
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they just don't. Nobody has enough.
wrap, yo, it's a wrap, bro. It's a wrap. I don't care about nothing about AD. AD gonna have to guard KD, and y'all know, and I don't care who you are, you know you don't want that. On the back of
They
that,
just don't
it's
have enough, bro. Nobody has enough at this point.
like AD is I'm just gonna take KD to the block and just abuse him on the block all night long by going through him because he's too small. He gonna want to get to that elbow and do the catch and shoots, and the side step three, mid range. That's his thing now. So, man, the way I see it, man, them boys is chilling. They on autopilot right now. What I hate, what they got Blake Griffin. I never was a fan of Blake Griffin. Hot garbage, bro. He's trash. Like, he's just super athletic. Now I can't take nothing away from somebody who understands basketball. I don't know about his IQ. Maybe that's why he did. But as a basketball player, when I see him on my eyes, I just don't like him at all. Never have. I think Jeff Green is such a better player than Blake. He gives you so much more that a Griffin was not like, oh, yo, like I can understand LaMarcus Aldridge. LaMarcus Aldridge, because he can shoot the three. You can put him in pick and pop situations. You can put him in that DHO situation at the top. You can put him on a block. You can play him
high post.
wherever you want to do with him.
Wherever you want.
So he fits right in with what those guys are doing. And LaMarcus Aldridge at this point clearly wants to win a championship. So he's not looking to go out there and try to do what he did in carrying the franchise like he tried or attempted to do in San Antonio, which I thought was a bad move in the beginning in the first place. I said you should have stayed with Dame, but and CJ. But that's where I look at, for me personally, like it's a wrap, man. And again, like I said, if they all stay healthy, this is a wrap for LeBron. All the LeBron fans out there that wanted him, yo, I got you, man. He's a great player, but yo, it's a wrap for him now. Like, he has, I think, as a basketball player in the league, he's gotten to the highest point that he could get, and I don't think that he's gonna sustain that for much longer, which, look, credit to him. He sustained it for a hell of a long time, like pure dominance. But it's the same thing. Like every great player, they're gonna hit that point in their career, and maybe it may be an injury, which I don't think this high ankle sprain is what would have had him on the decline anyway. I just look at and it's like you have some great nights, and but you still are trying too hard every night to score because you want to dominate. Run the offense, you have the highest usage rate, you know what I'm saying? Instead of being in a position now where you could play literally off the basketball and be put in situations where you get to utilize your ability to facilitate and let Dennis Schroeder do more of that. But again,
I know that's not how the Lakers were built, and that's why your point is valid. Because I don't know, you talk about KD. I mean, all right, who the hell's guarding Kyrie on that team?
Oh, you forgot
Nobody.
Huh? Forgot about the MVP. James Harden.
No, yeah. I mean, I didn't even get to him yet, but I'm just saying, like, like who's guarding Kyrie?
Not
Alex Caruso.
Not a soul on this planet is guarding. Not
exactly. And you could kind of even look at it like this. That people can say, "Oh, they're forming a super team." Well, kind of coming back to biting you in the ass, LeBron, ain't it?
And they already all paid. They've been max contract guys at all the places that they wanted to be at. So they money now. It's like, yo, we just gonna win these chips with my bros.
Right. Have fun doing it.
And we already, I guess they labeled all of them like they labeled AI. So in
Mm,
10, 15 years, we'll get a 30 for 30 on Kyrie Irving about how revolutionary of a player he was and how transcendent he was and all of that stuff like that. But
right,
right now he gets criticized and whatever.
right.
But we like 17, man. Let's jump into this show, man. Like what we
Let's get
start,
it.
what we starting first. We got a lot. We got a lot going on.
You already know, man. It's March Madness. Let's
Hey,
get to it, man.
hey.
It's the March Madness.
On last night, both ways. Arizona women's basketball lights out from the 3-point line. Record, what they hit 13 threes. 13 threes. So that's pretty crazy. Watch Baylor destroy Villanova. Um, just defense, multiple efforts, and making plays. Um, what else did I see? Oral Roberts, that was so close with Arkansas. So Musselman gets away with another one, survive in advance. How about the two freshmen? The one girl, what's her name from Iowa, and we know who Paige is. From UConn.
Girl from Iowa is tough.
Yeah, she's so tough, bro.
She is tough.
She's
I'm
really,
about to look her name up right now because I know I'm not good with names.
but yeah, and then you got women's Baylor. Their team just eked out a win.
Mm-hmm.
And now they match up with UConn, which is going to be interesting because those two programs are like staples in the women's game, and those two coaches, she probably going to wear. Did you see what the coach from Baylor had on, yo? At all? Did you see that game at all?
I just saw the highlights.
All right, so she had on an orange suit, bro, like an orange suit, like orange, full suit, orange, with yellow, bright yellow heels on, bro. Like
They be getting into it, bro. It's March Madness.
I stun on you, bro. I'm about to come out here looking like a starburst and get this dub. But yeah, I just
Caitlin Clark.
yeah, Caitlin. Yep, thought that
Yep.
was yep.
She's a problem.
Yeah, very skilled, man, and
Footwork crazy.
yeah, and she can manufacture her own shot. So she looks like she's a pro already. Very similar to
Right.
Pages. They just on another level how they play the game. But
Right.
altogether, man, this has been a great NCAA tournament. There's a whole lot of underlying things as to why I'm torn on the support of something like this going on right now, knowing about the financial gain of, the organization of the NCAA at a time of risking these kids' lives. If we're all things are kept in perspective right here, it's like, all right, but it is a form of entertainment for me, and I love to see the competition, and it's such a unique format of how teams have to compete against each other that it just makes it
Right.
unbelievable. And there's so much to learn. This is the opportune time, I believe, for any basketball person who wants to consider themselves serious about learning about the game of basketball and wanting to be a forever learner to watch both ends, because it's such a great way to see how coaches digest information, communicate, how well they communicate with their kids, how well their kids do in communication, and then automatically executing at the biggest of moments. And then you see the special moments that the kid has that, hits 4 threes in a game, or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like a Buddy Boeheim comes nowhere, virtually for the nation. You know what I'm saying? For people who are inside basketball, they know who Buddy Boeheim is. They know the relationship with Coach Boeheim. They understand that. But just to see that kid be successful in those moments, then you see the stop of someone like a Loyola Chicago, and just how Sister Jean had so much of a connection to that basketball program and those kids. And now those
Right.
that was there 4 years ago when they went to the Final Four, and just that experience, and you see how much care they have in a loss. You see kids with tears in their eyes, and that's not fake, man. You put a lot of energy and effort in, and you really believe that you can win when you get to that point. You definitely,
Right.
your team has enough that they can win a national championship, and to not either have that opportunity or know that you may never have that opportunity again in your college career. It's just amazing to see the emotion through it all. You know what I mean? And I just think it's a
Right.
great, great time for basketball.
No, absolutely, man. I mean, if you are a basketball fan and you're not moved from March Madness, if it doesn't captivate you, if it doesn't just wow you, then you ain't a basketball fan.
Word up.
Then that doesn't describe you because, it's something special when you have all these schools that, they all want to be here. They all want to be in this position. When you're a college kid and you go to school and you get your school that you're going to, that's a goal. Like, yo, let's go to the NCAA tournament. You and I know at the Division I level, it's an opportunity for kids who normally don't get the recognition nationally to showcase, yo, I can hoop.
Right.
Like the kid from Oral Roberts, Admas.
Yes.
He could ball, man, and he led the country in scoring. He averaged 29 points a game, and the kid's a bucket, but nobody would know about that because he goes to Oral Roberts. You know what I mean? So it's just special, man. It's nothing like it. And I personally, even though I didn't play at the Division I level, at the Division II level, and having had the ability to go to 3 Sweet 16s and 2 Elite Eights, it's that feeling it's crazy when you win and advance, and even when you don't advance and you lose, it's just all these emotions that you probably never felt before as a player. They just all come rushing in at once. You know what I mean? And it's amazing. Coaches, players, like you said, that you should be watching and learning and taking notes, because at this point in the season, these teams are polished, man. Like, they run their sets, they execute, they get the shots and looks that they want, and it's just like, wow. You know what I mean?
The guy or the girl, they know who they are at this point in the year, and they're gonna get the ball.
Right.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're right. It's like teams know who they are. That you could see the identities of every team that plays, men and women, and you could see the players step up, men and women who are the ballers, who understand this is my job. I mean, I remember watching the young lady Jordan Ashley from Texas A&M, and she hit that game winner. But that game, that was her third buzzer beater of that game. She had hit one every quarter, and it's like, yo, I got, and it's just like, wow, like this moment right now, lights is on, we in the fire, you know what I mean? And I got game. That's why I put on my story, game blouses, bucket, you know what I mean? Like, it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful.
Yeah, man.
So let's jump into our first question about this is, why are the underdog conferences competing at such a high level?
Well, I got a couple different things that I want to say about that. I think are layered with that, right? I think honestly, this particular year, especially if you look at the makeup of those teams that are considered the underdog teams, coming from like an Oral Roberts, coming from a conference that's not a Power 5 conference that we get to see all the time, right? Like, those teams are really experienced with 3 to 4 year players. Like, they have a grad transfer too. So at this point in the year, the Power 5 schools are gonna get the top freshmen or top sophomores. And now, with there being such an exodus to the league, one and done, I think those programs suffered dramatically with not having time to coach with their kids and play in any meaningful moments or any meaningful games. But now you competing against guys who are not 18, 19, 20 years old, but they're 22, 23 years old. They've been around here. They know what it is at this point. Many of them know, I'm not going to the league. Many of them, like, I'm here to get my degree. Like, I got set up, I got an internship here or there, like, or I'm going back to get my master's, but I just want to have it special in this moment. Yo, these are like 4 years I'm gonna get to play basketball at a competitive level, and some of those dudes have that mentality, and you can tell the unselfishness within play, how they play, make the little plays. I'll give you an example, like the guy Kurtwig against Illinois. This is Loyola against Illinois, right? And that upset apparently, right? Like if you looked at the plays that he made, it was deflections, it was getting in people's way, changing shots around the basket, getting more defensive rebounds, being able to be not just a offensive scorer from the box, but he was facilitating for Williamson. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, where does that come from in those moments? Well, he's a senior. There's a culmination. He was a freshman. He experienced that, and he tried for 2 more years to get back to that same point. You know what I'm saying? And this was your last hurrah. There's just that level of experience that comes with those guys. They never get rattled late. They don't do erratic things. They stick to the script. They always seem to be in the right place at the right time. You know, very Belichickian are those
Mm-hmm.
programs. And I also think that just the exposure to development globally with like social media, with everyone having some type of skills trainer or some type of facility, more kids are coming in more skilled. So the parity is not such where it's Power 5 and then it's just a complete drop off. There's
Right.
no way to compete, right? And it's showing and proving to be even that much more evident in the women's game. And that's where when you see, you know, you don't necessarily know that all 4 number 1 seeds are going to make it to the Final Four, which has been things have occurred like that within the women's game that you don't really see within the men's game. But now you're starting to see there become schools that are the 7th, 8th, 10th seed in that tournament situation, being able to
Right.
larger schools. And I think that's due to the access of development for players.
Speaking of women's game, just a quick shout out to South Jersey player Kylie Watson. They played today. She goes to Oregon. So that's one of our own playing in a big stage as a freshman. So that's dope. But now to get back to what you were saying, I mean, yeah, like, you know, the thing about it is, like, you hit that on the head when you said they have these 3 to 4 year players, they have the players, you know, you don't, like, Oral Roberts isn't going to have a guy that's one and done. That's just not how it is. You know, those type of guys go to the Power 5 conferences. Mm-hmm. So you do see these teams that have older guys, they're polished, they understand what their coach wants because they've been with their coach and they've been part of the program and the culture for the past 3-4 years, you know. And then even when you have younger guys on their team, they're already mixed into the older guys in the culture. So it's that culture, it's embedded, and by this time in the season, everybody's like this. Mm-hmm. Also, these underdog conferences, I mean, yeah, you could say throughout the entire conference, it's not as powerful or as skilled as a Power 5 throughout, but you have to understand that an Oral Roberts isn't getting a bid to get into the NCAA tournament. They have to win their conference to get in. There's no other way for them to get into the NCAA tournament. So when an Oral Roberts gets matched up against a bigger school that got a bid that didn't experience what it takes to win a conference championship, the playing feels like this at that point.
Or that's
because Oral's like, yo, listen, we just put 4 games together to win our conference championship. We understand what it takes to win night in, night out. When we got to have that turnaround, there's no time to really prepare. We're focused. We know who we are. We're going to come in. And we believe, that's huge, that we're going to win.
Right.
We believe you got to play us.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got a bid. We want to chip. And I think people overlook that. These lower schools the only way they get in is winning their conference. So they've already experienced a mini March Madness. They've already had to go.
That's a great point. That's an excellent point.
They've already had to win 3 or 4 games in a row to get in. So I think that really levels the playing field when you get to the NCAA tournament, because these teams really believe, we could win. You got to play us.
The whole thing, too.
Yeah, we going to make a run to the Final Four. Like, this is how these teams are thinking.
Oral Roberts beat Ohio State, right? In the opening round, I think.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
and I've been rooting for them. I mean, I always root for when they have that underdog. I really wanted them to win yesterday because it would have been the first 15 seed ever to make an Elite 8. You know, they fell short. But hats off to them. hats off to Loyola. Like, that's a great point that you made. Like, when you have a bunch of guys that were a part of something special already, you know, going back to their freshman year, and now it's their senior year, and they're in the same position again. Again, that is why like these underdog conferences are able to, you know, sustain. You look at a Loyola, like they're never ranked. I mean, maybe in the past 5 years, 6 years, they've been more relevant because of the run that they made prior. Now people start to pay attention to them, but it's like that was set in stone. And when you have freshmen like that that want to get back before they graduate, right? Again, that culture is being made. So once they get in, it's like, yo, this is what we got to do to win because we did it already. We
Right.
we understand. You know
Right.
what I mean? So it's again, it's the beauty of the NCAA tournament when you get there. Like, you know, you get the brackets and you pick them out, and it's just like, yo, you can't really
Call it.
you can't call it because it's like, yeah, you might look at Kansas plays who's this? And the people were probably like, yo, who's this team? Like the school from Texas, Albion Christian.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, who's that? Who's that? But then they go ahead and knock you off.
Yeah.
Man, they messed up my bracket. But it's like, yo, again, you don't understand. They had to get here. They had to get here by winning. So
Right. Yeah. Great point that you made about that. That I didn't even think about that. So what's up? What's up? Where we going from here?
So, I mean, we talked about it in the intro. Just players and coaches should really be watching from a student standpoint,
Absolutely.
right? Because this is the perfect time to learn. Um, for players, right? Just some things that you should be watching that you could take away. And for me, three, I'm gonna limit it to three because this is what we talking about three. But
Right.
because you're gonna be like, yo, you're gonna take all the points, bro.
Okay.
But nah, but players, first of all, like you should watch how hard these kids play. Like they put everything on the line. The winning is heightened at this point. So all the little things are heightened at this point. And if you watch how hard these kids play, like yesterday I was watching the Oral Roberts Arkansas game, and I think the kid Moody from Arkansas, he scored. This is down the stretch now. Arkansas made this run to come back, right? They cut that lead. They were fighting all game. They were down 10. They fighting. They cut it back. It was a 4-point game at the time. Kid scores on a fast break. They're inbounding the ball, and when he laid it up, he slipped and fell, right? He gets up, they inbounded the ball, and the guy who caught the ball forgot the kid was from behind him. So he comes in, he tips it, right? Now the ball's scrambling. Now after he tips it, he dives on the ball, right? He don't get it. It's scrambling. Now all these kids is diving on the ball, loose ball. 4 or 5 kids get on the floor. You know what I mean? And it ended up, I think Arkansas got the ball back on jump ball call, right? But it just shows you at that point, right? All the things that coaches tell you throughout the year, get on the floor. Like that's a big one for kids because I feel like a lot of younger players feel like, oh, I don't want to get on the floor. Like,
Or
nah, like if you
the floor is whack. Like I'm a bend down and try to get the ball.
right, like why these kids are full out laying their bodies on the line because they understand like how important that possession is.
Right.
Right? How important that possession is at that point.
Right.
And another thing about the NCAA tournament I wanted to say was it ain't over until that clock says 0-0-0 because even when like you watch these games and the games are getting close and there's one possession here, they're down 4 here, and it's 20 seconds left, you be like, oh, it's not over. It's
Yeah.
not over. And it don't be over. Like kids
We know that because that
right,
pressure either makes diamonds or it busts.
right,
So
right.
those
So
happen and those threes fall in or a layup underneath the basket. I think that happened yesterday. In the women's game, I forget who that was that made that jump pass late. She was chilling under the basket. Boop, laid it right in. Damn, I forget what that play, but it was like 17 seconds left, and it was a tie ball game.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And they one defensive assignment. The one girl, I believe she was too far away. and the girl cut back door, and instead of her being a foot in on the box to stop that cut where she could have been, she wasn't there, and the girl was getting ready to get double teamed. She just jumped up and whoop threw that joint. She caught it, boom, put it in. I'm like, damn, like the one defensive slip up just cost you that. Just that one. You played great the whole game, and it's one defensive, one mental lapse. It's one moment of you.
That's it.
Focused, and boom, it's over. It's over.
Right. And that's crazy that you brought that up, because that was my second point to players to watch. How important the defensive side of the ball is. And you just hit it like it, and we say it, I mean, they say it for football, basketball, sports, it's a game of inches, it's a game of seconds. Like, you're not in position one time could cost you a game. But as I watch the teams, and this is another reason why these underdog conferences are so good when they get here, of how locked in they are defensively. If you watch these players in their assignments, and when you really break down and you're watching these schools and they got the better players on the other team and how teams prepare for it, how they guard them. And, I was watching Houston play Syracuse yesterday, and, we tell players, do your work early, and I'm watching as soon as Boeheim gives up the ball, how quickly they would get back to him, not to let him catch, how quickly they would jump over screens. Like, the defensive side of the ball at this time of year is huge. Yeah, you got to score, but you're playing against talented kids that can score, that can get buckets. So you have to lock in defensively. You don't see – say that again?
At one and done, but
right.
You're going in the right direction. These are 2 points, right?
Yeah.
You got
so,
one.
Like – he said you got one more.
Nah, because I had a bunch of them, so I just want to make sure that we don't just keep saying the same thing.
Nah, right. So, like, how important is, like, I'm watching all these games on both sides of the basketball. You don't see a lot of blow-bys. Like, teams are, like, really closing out on balance. When there is dribble penetration that helps be on point, the rotations be on point, they scramble, they recover. They're contesting shots. They're flying around. They're talking. They're communicating. Like, this is a perfect opportunity for every single player right now that wants and has aspirations of playing at that level. Like, you and I already know from experience how important the defensive side of the ball is to get on the court, because it was something that we experienced early of like, we didn't get it and we didn't play the minutes that we wanted. So any young player watching now, like, if you want to not only go to college, but you want to be a part of a successful college team, like, watch now. Watch how the defensive side of the ball is. Like, that's how important it is. This is why these teams are where they are right now, right? And my third thing, and I kept this more, I stayed away from the skill side of things right now in basketball. I focused on I guess, more these aspects. My last thing was the body language and how locked in players are. You don't see players pouting. You don't see players when they get taken out of the game. Oh, man, if anything, if they're mad, right. If they're mad, they're more upset at themselves because they did something that could hurt their team. They're not yelling they're not going back and forth with their coaches. Like, everybody is locked in. Everybody's body language is the same, because at this point, again, winning is heightened. Like, you're winning a national championship. Millions and millions of people watch these games, but these players are for each other. They're rooting their teammates on, and it's even more intensified now because magnified now because there's not many fans there, right? So now, if you watch these players, like, it's all for their team. They're all positive. They're all picking each other up off the floor. Like, I love it, because I love when a basket scored or a foul's called, everybody huddles up and you see the leader, whoever the leader is at that point, grabbing guys and pulling them in, like, let's go, let's get focused. Like, I love it. I love it from a coach's standpoint. I love it from a player standpoint. I love when guys are cheering for each other. Ain't no pouting. Yeah, you missed the layup. Like, you speak of Boeheim, and it was like the game before this, before they got here, he struggled in the first half of that game, right? And you see his teammates, nah. You see his pops, nah. Like, listen, we keep shooting the same shots, and they keep encouraging him, and he comes out and shoots the lights out the second half. Like, that's what it's made of. That's what it's about. And players should watch that, like, because dealing with young players, that's one of the things that I'm always talking about with them is their body language. Like, it ain't about you, bro. It
Right.
really ain't about you. Like, I don't like. It's not about you. Like, you have to be a part of something bigger, and a lot of kids don't get that. At this age, they don't understand. At the younger age, they don't understand. Like, it's bigger than you. It's more of a team thing, and yeah, you matter in the puzzle, but you know you can't just be about you. It can't be, and we tell kids all the time, body language. Coaches come to watch body language because at this point in the year, they don't want they don't want the body language kid. They don't need that. So those are my 3 points that I have. I got more, but I'm gonna let you take over because you told me I just had 3. He said you got one more.
So, I mean, we could go 45 days on what points
Right.
we try to keep it simple as possible. But yeah, I think those points that you made are excellent. For players, I would say number one, when you talk about the effort, I look at how players give effort for extra possessions. So that's either offensive or defensive rebounding. And that's not a skill, bruh. I'm not talking about skills when I'm talking to you about this. I'm talking about pure competition, and I want the damn basketball because I know that when my teammate or if my teammate misses, if Buddy Boeheim misses, I'm going to go get that rebound, and we're going to get possession, and we may get a putback, or we may get a foul, or we may get another kick out, and we may get another shot opportunity. And it's so important as a player to understand that it's not about getting buckets all the time to impact and affect games. There's guys who you should be looking at and just look at how they impact. Like, why is this guy out here? Like, if all you think about is buckets, right? Like, if you a player and you
Good point.
buckets. All right, cool. Not all 5 of them dudes get buckets. So what is it that this dude is doing? Look at some other players and look at why they're out there. Look at the fact that this player is setting hard screens. He's being physical in people's face. He's boxing people out, getting extra rebound, running hard for the basketball. Those different things like that, because it translates to a ideology and philosophy as you play as a player. Your other teammates who are skilled value what you do, value what you bring to the table. So I'm gonna give you an example. One of the guys from Baylor, athletic big. He's not very skilled at all, but he's super athletic. And it is a loose ball, and he's going for a loose ball, and he tries to throw it back in bounds, and he winds up jumping over the first table and spraining. Right, so you know who I'm talking about, right? You see how many of his teammates ran over there to see if he was all right, all of that stuff. He winds up getting up, coming back into the situation or whatever. But I want you to think about this as players. The game, it was the first half. It was about 13 minutes left, and it was
early in the game.
18-17. And
Mark Vital, that's his name.
He was giving that kind of effort. Now, granted, I know we in the Sweet 16, and I know things are magnified, but that doesn't happen just because he's in the Sweet 16. That's who he is. That's right. It's not you.
Because he didn't even second guess himself. I'm going for this.
I'm on TV. I'm gonna run and go do this. That's who he is. But that's why he's valuable to his team. That's why his teammates have to run over there and say, "Let me see how my teammate is doing." Because you see how they play. They play 5 on a string. So brings me to my second point. Look at what guys do on the defensive end as a team collectively. Not just, I'm stopping my man or I'm guarding my man. Look at what the other players are doing around in support of you who are guarding the basketball. Watch how there's different defenses. If you want to talk about a man-to-man pressure defense, whereas we want to try to force you in certain situations. There's teams that if you go into a ball screen, they're going to trap you. That's what Loyola did to Illinois. They kept trapping their ball handlers off the screen, and they could not make the throwback pass. Either the one kid was too small, or the other kid, who they said is league bound, got lazy and careless, and he kept.
Right. He was getting stripped and all that. The
It's
Somu.
it's a stylistic way of play, and you can be valuable. This is why, as a player, you have to look at these things, because when you're deciding on what kind of player you want to be, you have to also emulate something that you see. So you should see what this guy is doing. If you're a kid who is not gifted offensively, but you want to play basketball, there's other guys who are not gifted offensively that are of tremendous value, because they get offensive rebounds. They put their body on the line to take charges. They can test people at the rim. They are great facilitators and passers for their teammates. They may even just be the leader in terms of body language, because what happens is, if you watch in this tournament, somebody who you don't think makes plays will make a big play. They will get an offensive rebound. They will get a putback. It'll be a foul. You will see them, and
Right.
that's that's valuable. So look at those.
Right.
And then lastly, look at free throw shooting, like free throws and layups. Like, this is championship level play. And yes, guys are hitting jump shots and threes, but the teams that shoot well from the free throw line, the teams that get layups at the rim, easy baskets at the rim, that don't miss layups, that don't miss free throws, are always going to do well in these type of situations, because, as you know, the games are going to be close. So it's going to come down to that open layup that you had. It's going to come down to that 4-footer that you missed because you didn't finish it. It's going to come down to you going, 2 of 6 from the free throw line. Those are the things that are going to matter more when it comes to winning. And you have to pay attention to that. You have to pay attention to, those players in those moments late in the game. You guys always I want to start. And then coaches come with the cliche term of, it's not who starts, it's who finishes. Well, look at who's finishing. Look at those moments and look at who's finishing. Look at how those teams say, all right, I want Wayne to shoot the basketball. And they defer to him in those moments. That's a testament to your ability to be able to step to the line and knock free throws down in a pressure-packed moment. And that's where you really separate yourself of value to your team, is in the moments that are uncertain for your team. They're looking at you. They're looking at you to get play. They're looking at you to make these free throws. So those are my 3 points. And I know that they're kind of they're not specific 3 points, but
no, they were good. No, they were on point. Even and like that was big, because I had wanted to say that when we were talking about the conferences and the differences and things like that. But the free throws, like, if you watch these games, all these games have been close for the most part. There hasn't really been a lot of blowouts, things like that, So these games are close, and I'm sure when the game's over and the losing team or even the winning team, when they're looking at the stat sheet, I'm pretty sure it's coming down to free throws, turnovers, and second chance points, or even missed layups, things like that, because it's the smallest things that are going to be the difference between winning and losing at this point. You know what I mean? And so for you players out there, Mar was hitting you with some gems. Like, the free throws are important, man. I know he posted last night, and it was a picture of you made that picture of Bob Marley's face. This is me when players miss layups, and we joke about it, but we keep posting it because we're serious.
Right.
And me as a coach, it was the one thing that it would make my blood boil when kids were missing. And I'm not talking about contested hard layups, bro. I'm talking about you missed a wide open chippy. You missed a chip layup. Like, you know what I mean?
When's the last time you used the phrase blood boil? When's the last time you used that?
Yo, that's how mad it would get me. And it gets me. That's how mad. Like, when, again, you missing the chippy, and it's just like, you don't, as a player, don't understand the importance of that. That could have cost us the game, That could be the difference right then and there. That chippy that you missed can come back to haunt us. That's why it's very important. That's why, when you are working out as a player and you're in practice and you're doing drills, like you have to have the mindset that I'm making every single layup. I'm out here with the mindset that I'm making every single free throw because it will translate. And when the moments happen, when you need to make the simple ones, the simple layup, I got two at the line, I got to knock two down, it will show. It will show because it's the smallest things between winning and losing. It really is. We can't, it's not the big things anymore. I mean, we just talked about the conferences, right? It ain't the big conferences always winning. No, it's coming down to the smallest things. So it's important, man. Those are really good. Those are good 3 points, bro. So we just talked about that from the players aspect. So let's take it to the coaches aspect. And what should coaches be taking away from the tournament, both men and women? And, I don't have specific 3 points on this, but I know one thing. Coaches, when you're watching, and this is something that I've picked up recently, and Mar hit it on the head in the beginning. Like at this point in the year, you should know who you are as a team, and that comes from the cultivation from the coach, right? You should know who your identity is at this point in the year of who you are, right? There ain't no we want to be this team, we should. By this point, you have to have an identity, or you wouldn't be.
Right.
They wouldn't be where they are. They wouldn't be in March Madness. So, building that identity throughout the year, understanding, and listen, coaches, you might have a specific way of who you think you are in the beginning of the year, and by the time you get to the end, it might change, and that's okay as long as you have cultivated that along the way. Okay, let me throw my idea out the way. I see who we are. Let's build towards that. So come playoff time, come March Madness time, come whatever time at the end of the year, this is who we are, and this is who teams know who we are. This is what we are identified by, right? And coaches, please pay attention to how polished these teams are. And I mean in terms of how they run their offense, how they execute offensively, how these teams are prepared, and as in terms of like how they set screens, how, and I guess this goes into your identity, but just how they play and how they're all into the coach, right? I did see one moment earlier in the year, and I think it's more of an Izzo thing of who he is, but he had taken, the one player had made a mistake, I forget the player's name, but he had made a mistake, and it was Izzo's fault because it wasn't the kid's mistake of why the basket was scored at the end of the half. It wasn't his mistake at all. But how, listen, us coaches at times, like, yo, you might see something a certain way, and you just at that moment it's so heated. Again, everything's magnified. So it's what you doing? Why you ain't rotate? Blah 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 blah, and they're going back and forth. And the kid they was going at it, like Izzo grabbed his jersey, he like, get off me, like type thing, but you already know how Izzo is, right? He's that intense, fiery coach. But at the end of the game, he was the first to say, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. You know what I mean? At that moment, whatever the case, it wasn't what I thought. It takes a lot from a coach to do that, right? So that's something that coaches can take something from a great like that. Listen, man, like you got to take ownership of your program and of your team, right? So when things don't go right, it's got to start with you. I made the mistake. It was my fault. We weren't prepared. We could have done better, whatever the case may be. And another thing, and then I'll hand it over to you, is coaches, like if you watch the teams that are winning right now, these coaches have the ability to adjust on the fly, or have a plan B per se when the plan A things don't work. And that was one thing I was a little bit upset with Illinois. With the whole ball, why if you're a coach, and I don't know his reasonings behind it, but the way Loyola was playing the ball screen was causing a lot of issues for Illinois, right? And it was like you keep going back to, you keep doing it, and you see it's not working. It's causing it's causing you to give the ball away. what adjustments are you going to make to not do that? There's got to be something in your arsenal where it's like, yo, all right, let's scratch this right now. It's not working because of how, listen, they did their job. That's kudos to them. They're prepared on this. Let's switch to something else that that we've worked on during the season. Some type of, you know, plan B. Like I said, like we could go to find other ways to get shots for us to be productive for us. And if you watch some of these teams, they're able to adjust to what's going on. The coaches were able to figure it out mainly at halftime and be like, all right, let's make this adjustment, let's flip it, and then let's see how they react to it. You know what I mean? The one thing I was really impressed with Baylor was yesterday was, you know, Villanova, and hats off to Jay Wright for you lose your best player and you still got to figure things out. And you know, they came out and they were very, very well prepared for Baylor. They played them excellent in the first half. But the adjustment that Baylor made coming out in the second half was, you know what? Let's play to our strength and let's speed the game up.
Yep.
This is what we're great at, right? We got 3 killer guards. So they started trapping, right? And they started speeding the game up, and now the game switched, which was something they didn't do in the first half. But he knew, I got this in my back pocket right now. If things don't go how I want it to go, that I got another plan to switch it up, to try to switch the game up. And now if Jay Wright makes an adjustment, we make an adjustment. So I think coaches should pay attention to that. Like, you can't just go in and be like, this is what we're going to do. Like, nah, be flexible, you know, have something in your back pocket just in case, and be able to make adjustments on the fly, because it's a game of chess, man. He makes a move, you make a move, and so on.
Right. I mean, I agree with you. I think on the Illinois point, it could come off a little Monday morning quarterback, because when do you decide to make that adjustment? Like, you are who you are, right? And it is what got you here, and it did get you to being almost number one in the country. At one point, they were number one in the country, right?
Yeah, maybe earlier in the season, like early season, yeah.
So, you know, that's tough. That's a tough call, but I do agree that when the 1 point guard couldn't get free over the screen, the curly hair point guard, because what's my man's name? What's the dude? Dread. What's his name?
Dosunmu?
Yeah. What's his name?
Dosunmu?
Dosunmu. Yeah, he wasn't good he was only good at catching, getting himself downhill and playing. He was never good at that pick and roll situation. So once I saw that the curly hair point guard couldn't get free to do much, I'm like, nah, bro. Like, you need to move into more of a motion offense and get them moving rather than putting him in that situation. But I do agree with you. At some point, you got to make an adjustment. I don't care if it's not a game. You got to be like, yo, this is not working. You know what I mean? But I think,
and just to you know, like, and you're right. I don't want to come off Monday morning quarterback like that, but just like you just said, like, there's got to be something that you've done throughout the year that, you know, your players know, or you could go to. Like, I mean, I don't know if you could do that at the college. Listen, yo, let's just spread out and attack one-on-one, motion kick, like something, right? Like, I just got tired of, like, yo, why do y'all keep doing this? You like, yo, every time it was a ball screen, it was a trap, it was a bad pass. You know, Dosunmu would get lazy with the ball, they were stripping him. And it's just like, all right, like, come on, can I at least see something where you can isolate them on the side or something? You know what I mean? But go ahead.
Nah, I agree. Definitely. I feel like there's creative ways that you could have done some things. For my thing for coaches, man, number one, I don't know where you are as a coach, but there are great sideline out of bound plays, ATO, blob situations. There's great opportunity to learn how you philosophically like to guard the ball screen, because everybody is putting you in the ball screen. Everybody's running. Everybody guards it differently. And then, you know, that's where I would start being a coach, is really digging into looking at those things, because when you already have a team, I think in these moments of one and done, if you can execute your sideline out of bounds play to score, if you can execute your baseline out of bounds play to score, I think those after timeout situations, the play that you run is so crucial in those moments. And I think that if you look at those things, I think that's the first thing on the offensive end. You want to look at those things, and then on the defensive end, you're developing that same philosophy when it comes to how you like to guard. Do you like to guard full court, 3/4 court? Are you a zone guy? Are you a matchup zone guy? Are you a guy or girl? What are your beliefs when it comes to the ball being free throw line extended? How do you defend that? Where's your help in your rotations? Those are the things that I say coaches need to really look at, because if you're looking at it on the men's and women's, and I encourage coaches, period, to watch both. I don't know. I get it. People have a certain bias and they enjoy one or the other. But for me personally, I think there's things that can be learned by watching both, because they're excellent coaches on both sides. And there's certain things that you can take from each one of these situations. Because I'll tell you this much: Arizona hitting 13 threes, they were creative at getting to that 3-point line. So that's something that, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it is. But for me, that's where I would start. And then the second thing, and I meant to actually say this for players as well, but for coaches, communication. Look at how that everyone communicates. I mean, I'm talking about bench as well as your assistant coaches. I'm talking about communication in its totality. How you as the head coach communicate to your players, those 5 that are out on the floor, your captains, how do your team take on communicating with one another, because that is essentially what's going to separate you when you're down 6, is your way of communicating. What's getting done offensive, and what are we running? What are we looking to get? You know, that time and score is so magnified, especially when you're playing behind. And those teams, I believe, that come from behind already have had that chaotic situation in practice where coach has to communicate exactly what needs to be done. And like we talked about, there may be a kid who in that situation defensively forgets an assignment, and because you guys are locked in and good with communication, you're either able to convert a play, you know, trap a situation, and now a kid turns it over. And I think that those things are really important. What happens as a coach when you're watching these games, a tight ball game? How do these teams score? Boom, get right into their press. Where are they trapping? First trap, second trap, foul. You know what I mean? Extending the game. Like, these are things that are extremely important, I think, for young coaches to be looking at and really hone in on what you believe in. This is not, yo, do this. Because I've watched so many of these high school coaches, young college coaches go to these coaching clinics, and it's great stuff that the coaches from the obviously higher levels, Power 5 levels, are putting out there and kind of showing these coaches how they go about teaching these different things. But I think more importantly, you should be able to develop your own philosophy based upon seeing these things, not just, yo, I'm going to take what Indiana does, or I'm going to take what Michigan does. You don't got their players, but you can take their philosophy and say, okay, this is what I want to teach with what I got. And I can take bits and create my own philosophy, which is your contribution to basketball if you're a coach. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Good point.
So, you know, I just think that those are some things that coaches should be looking at. What I think coaches should take away from the tournament is you really have to coach. Like, you have to be, your foot needs to be all over that program. I mean, from top to bottom, because for your kids to get through this COVID protocol, for your kids to be in isolation, communication to be minimal in terms of your exposure to your players, like, all of these things, if you want to be a college coach, you want to coach at those levels, these coaches are handling that and some. And how they do that is their staff. The staff is extremely important. So coaches should be away from the fact that Gino Auriemma has had his assistant for the larger part of his entire career at UConn.
At UConn, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's important that you have guys. When I watch Baylor, I'm looking at their assistant coaches, and I'm not sure exactly what their assistant coaches are communicating, but I am looking at their assistant coaches communicating something where players are recognizing, whereas they may go from a man-to-man situation into a matchup zone, in transition. Like you bringing the ball down, and we was just in man to man, and now they fall back into a matchup zone based on not the head coach's communication, but what I've seen from assistant coaches. You know what I'm saying, on the bench. And I think that that's, again, you as one coach are not going to be able to win a championship. You're not a guru. You're not Professor X. You're not, you know what I'm saying, Magneto. You don't have those powers. A good staff and believe in your staff and put a bunch of people around you that fill the holes. If you're not an offensive guy, go get an offensive guy and let him be the offensive guy.
Right.
And like, you know, as a head coach, you are a GM. You want to put your team together. You got to put a good staff together. And I think that that goes underlooked for coaches in this moment is, yo, let me do some research on Baylor's staff. Let me do some research on Villanova's staff. Let me see what they got, who brings what to the table. Because it's a reason why these are successful year in and year out and year in and year out.
Right.
And they getting the top recruits, because we've seen that, and we've seen that not be successful. So what is it about these guys that they're making these guys successful with the top recruits? And I think that that's important for coaches. Educate yourself on those things, man. Make yourself a better coach for your kids. Make yourself a better coach that wants that other people want to be around. Like other people want to feel like they're going to get an opportunity to do their thing, whether that be men's or women's. And we need to start thinking about, as men, considering some of these women who just want to coach. They don't want to necessarily coach women. They want to coach, period. And be in a position where they could really help your program. So,
and there's some great basketball minds too.
Absolutely. So, you know, it was big for me, like just watching like the whole disparity with women's basketball. And obviously, you know, my counterpart is in that game. So it's just kind of messed up to see that. And it's like, yo, y'all disrespecting the game on these girls. And you need to really do some research and some work on seeing who these people are, because there's some special players, special coaches in this game. You know what I'm saying? So
Nah, facts. You know what I love too, man? Like at this point in the year, like I love watching like how hard these players like play for their coaches. And like that, and then like Baylor, like watching Baylor play. If you look at the coaching staff throughout the game, they all you know, and he might have a certain job and his job, but they all in tune. They're all into it, and they're all just they're up, they talking, and it's like I'm pretty sure by the end of the game they soaking wet with sweat because like they played, but it's like the intensity of the entire program. Like you hit that on the head, the entire program. I just remember like reading something Coach K said, and he's like, yeah, I get all the accolades, but you know, I wouldn't be anywhere without my staff. It's my staff that has me where I am, you know. And he even said when I went to Duke camp, like when I go to practice, I might only come into practice and do this certain thing. I got him running this, he's doing that, and he's doing that. So by the time I get there, I get my half an hour, 45 minutes, and I'm done. You know what I mean? So that's a big point. Like the staff is huge. Like, you know, one man can't do it. You can't do it alone. Like, and that's why the successful programs and these teams, they have great coaching staff.
And if you are a young coach, and I want everybody to understand too that, yo, like not everybody is a head coach. You know, not everybody. Some people you're built for the college game because you're able to relate to these kids, and you can preach in a way and connect in a way that sometimes the head coach is a little bit more removed and has to remain removed because he doesn't want that whole emotional connection when he has to make a hard decision. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
As an assistant, proved to be really valuable in that regard. So there's so many ways as a coach that you could be impactful in this game. And I mean, for me personally, obviously, like I know about certain things that are happening, like jobs that are opening, you know, and different people who are looking to come together as a staff at another program or going to programs that, you know, so I just look at that and I'm just like, yo, there's a lot of people who just big up the head coaches and think the head coaches are the ones who have the timeout. And it's like, nah, bro, the head coach might have went to, you know, Wayne might have came to me and been like, you know, what we got? And I'm like, yo, listen, all right, is such and such, this is the situation. You know, we do St. John's and we do da 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 da. And now he sits down. He's like, all right, cool. Boom, 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 boom. And yeah, the camera gets the head coach breaking all of this stuff down. But the head coach knows that it's the assistant coach who keeps all my quick hitters. Everything, he designs all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And basically architects that for the team. I just communicated to him. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of value in that. And those people don't really get a lot of shine. And that's something that as a coach and as a young coach, you don't always have to be a head coach. You can be an assistant coach. You can be an X's and O's guru. You can be a defensive guy. You know, you're looking at one in New York right now, Tom Thibodeau, you know, defensive guy. He's not an offensive guy at all, but you can see defensive efficiency. Look at the Knicks and look at where they are in the league. They're high up there because he preaches defense and you're going to play hard. So you can be one of those people. There's a lot of value that you can provide. And I just think that those people, again, need to get that shout out and need to go ahead and get it.
You know, and just an example of that is, Coach Ferry was a head collegiate coach for years, LIU, then Duquesne, and then when he went to Penn State, he wasn't the head coach. They gave him the title associate head coach, but it was very much a situation where, listen, I'm going to a big conference and my friend is the head coach. You know what I mean? So let me go be a part of the staff and let me put my input of what I know into it to help the program. And you would see at times during timeouts where it'd be Ferry be the one drawing up on the board, everybody around Ferry, and the head coach is doing something else. You know what I mean? Go ahead. You got that. You handle that. This is what you do. And that it speaks volumes, too, of the head coach relinquishing some of that power to say, hey, look, go ahead. It's okay. I'm okay. Like, I don't have to have the hold on everything. You know what I mean? It's okay. Go ahead. You got it. You by all means, I don't want to do it. Go ahead. You got it. You got it, bro.
Get the Gatorade right here at the score.
Yeah, real quick. Yo, my throat hurt. I've been yelling my ass off this whole game. Go ahead. You got this one. So, like, that's very important, man. That was a good point. And, I know speaking for myself, at the high school level, it isn't as easy to get the staff that you want, but hey, listen, man, at this level, if you just could find one guy that could help you out, and helping you succeed and helping you with some of the things that you need need help with, you'll be good. So at the high school level, if you could just find that one guy to help you, it'd be key. Because I know it's hard at the high school level, especially public school, to get that one the basketball minds to come in and help you out and build how you want to build. But look for one guy to help, and you guys could split responsibilities. I know that's what we did when you helped me coach at Cedar Creek. It was like, all right, bro, like, yo, you do this and I'm gonna do this, and then we'll meet in the middle and we'll figure it out. And we, and it worked out to our better. So, what we got next?
That transfer portal, man.
What are some of the reasons the transfer portal was flooded in the men's and women's game?
I'm gonna say I think like coronavirus had a lot to do with it. Mm-hmm. A lot of kids accepted scholarships to situations because of how tumultuous the year before was, that they just like, yo, I gotta take this. And some of them found out this not for them. Others of them found out that I need a better situation. There's other ones who I feel personally are in the transfer portal more so because the coaches have made a decision to say we want to keep some older kids. So you might have come in as a freshman and they may have thought that guy was going to move on, but now with the COVID year, they get it back. It's like, yo, you know what? I may want to run the table with these older cats one more year to see if we can get one more, hey, are you willing to stay on? And that's
right.
To make a decision and say, well, I get the year back. I'll be a freshman again the next year. All right, freshman on the court at least. You know what I mean? All right, could I stomach sitting on the bench one more year? And there's a lot of players who like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm about to go give me another situation. But then also I do think that there's some players who are just, you know what it is. Things ain't working out the way they want things to work out. And I'm going to go put myself out there in that situation and go see what happens.
Right. I mean, I got the same, man. I know Corona played a big part into it. Especially with players having the ability to come back for another year. And it's like the situation might have been one way upon entering school and then it changed. But two, like, you might think that it's a certain way or it's going to be a certain way when you get to school, and it's just not that. Sometimes things just don't work out when situations don't work out how you want them. So, players like, yo, I'm out. I'm going to try to find a better situation. A player that I look at and his team plays today is JQ. Like, just the situation wasn't best for him. And then he found a great situation, a team that fit him and what he needed. So it happens, man. But there are also players that are in the portal. Like, don't get it twisted. Some players get in the portal because, and we talked about this a couple pods ago. Coach crazy, yo. I don't bang with coach like that. Coach is crazy.
He tried to make me run because I was late. I was only.
Practice started at 12. I mean, I was walking in the gym at 12, and he kicked me. Like, there are players in the portal like that. Players that can't step up to the plate when called upon. So it isn't always just the positive side of things of why kids want to transfer, but it happens. And I hope, and just my wishful thinking is, I hope these players that are in the portal find what they're looking for and find the program that suits them well and wants them to succeed, and they buy in and things like that. Because having that ability to transfer is something that is a plus for players nowadays. Like, it's a little bit easier to transfer nowadays than I think it was when we were in school. And even now for kids who aren't at the D1 level, because I do have a couple of players that have hit me up about transferring. And just to all you players out there, just make sure you really think about the whole process. It ain't just about basketball either, too. So make sure you really think about that. And it's not a quick decision. Oh, I'm out of here. Like, sometimes these decisions affect your family and things of that nature. So please just think about before you want to transfer. You write all your pros and cons down. You talk to some people that are really in your corner and get some good information, both good and bad, on your move, and then make your decision. Because it's not something that's just like, I'm out of here. So
please don't transfer to go with your boy or your friend. You know what I'm saying? Because
right,
necessarily proved to be good. That's a couple of things for me with the transfer thing with kids, man. Like, also think worst case scenario. Like, okay, if this is the worst that it can be, do I need to be out of here? You know what I'm saying? Because also a flip side to that too. And the grass is not always green on the other side. Just because you transfer a situation, does not mean that you're going to walk into that situation and everything is going to be lovely. So the adversity that you faced in that first situation, is it something that is like so significant that you're like, yo, this can't happen somewhere else to deter me from being here? And what I mean by that is coach disrespecting you to a point where it's just he's abusing you, in other words. You know what I'm saying? Not tough on you, but just abusing you, like berating you, like, throwing a damn basketball at you, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Is the school situation like, yo, I just don't have access to the things that I need because I'm seriously taking, classes that I want to, make sure that I'm getting everything that I can out of my education. If those are certain things, maybe you might discover after your freshman year, you want to study something that they don't have at that particular school. I see that, especially on the women's side. There's women who, are starting off as communications majors, and then they're like, I don't want to do that, I want to do nursing. And it's like, yo, this school don't have that program. So now you got to go into the transfer portal and hope that there's a school that is willing to take your basketball talents and you're able to do a nursing program, because I know those types of programs can be very time consuming and comprehensive. So it's a lot to consider, and it is a serious decision. And whatever decision you decide to make, you better live on that. You better stand on that, because ain't nobody else should be making that decision but you. So, thinking about your family is important. I am someone who transferred, so that was something that I definitely considered, was my family and my access to it. Um, you know, Everyone has their story, and that's not nothing to bore anybody with. It's just I'm happy with my situation and what transpired with me transferring, and I had a great experience in college with lifelong friends and played some really good basketball. For me, I think that kids really need to take time and really communicate with your parents, because your parents know you better than you think they know you, and they will
Right, right.
if you really ask them the truth. And some of them may say, yo, you just being a little, you need to tough it out.
Suck it up.
You know what I'm saying? And there are other parents who like, yo, look, well, you did have this, and this is something to keep in mind. When you making a decision to get in that transfer portal, you should already have had some schools that were in that portal.
Don't be out here just like, let me see what's in the water.
Go into free agency. You ain't put no you ain't had no schools on you before you went into the portal.
Right.
That's typically what it's for. Certain kids made decisions. Those other schools, that was recruiting them at one particular point in time before they made their decision, may be open to giving them another opportunity, because they once did recruit them. So if it was your last school and that was the only school that offered you, ain't no other school.
You must stay. You better stay.
I don't care what they call it.
I'm not trying to see you at the crib, dog. I don't want to see you at the crib like, yo, it's first semester. Why you home? You transferred, so I mean, you experienced and like you said, everybody has their story, and it worked out for you.
Real quick. Speaking about that too, because you started to talk about that, and I meant to say, yeah, some of y'all think that you can have whatever grade you want and think you about to start all over again.
Like, oh nah, we're gonna forget these grades. Ain't nobody going. Nah. Guess what? Them grades follow you.
It's just like a Social Security number that's going right with you, bruh.
Yep. Facts.
In school, get them 24 credits. Look at, make sure you talking to some other coaches at possible institutions before entering into that portal. That these classes coincide, because that's the game. The game is, this is our course description, this is your course description, and they do this. And now I think that course all over again.
Right.
Now, are you a person who's cool with that? I wasn't cool with it. I'm like, nah, this is robbery. You're trying to tell me I need to take a class for something that I do every day. I speak English every day. I'm fine communicating it, right? Like, I didn't come here for that. I came here to learn something specific, and now you're telling me I got to go back and take a prerequisite for something. You know what I mean? And that's something that, hey, you got to really take into consideration. Because for me, thankfully, it worked out where there were certain classes that I took that weren't necessarily all prerequisites in terms of your core classes, but prerequisites for my major classes that really saved me. You know what I'm saying? So I had some 2,000, 3,000 level courses that I had took that transferred directly over, which made me closer to graduation outside of the course. And that was something that was important to me, because I didn't really like school. So I'm like, yo, I'm trying to get out of here. I know I need to
I remember you going through that, and you were like, man, they ain't trying to, they telling me I got to go do this. Like, nah, I'm about to go talk to this person. They going to take this course.
Word up. Like, nah, bro.
I remember that, bro.
I'm trying to get out of the name of the game, bro. Out of there. The name of the game is not just taking classes just to be taking them. I'm here for a blip in time, and I'm trying to be out. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be this kid. I definitely wasn't going to be the kid with classes still left over and had no eligibility for basketball, because I have no motivation to want to go to any other after that point. So it's, again, something strong to know yourself, know who you are.
No, absolutely, man. And I'm on the flip side of that, because I was at a point going into my junior year where I wanted to transfer. And mine was because, the playing time wasn't what I thought. I thought that I should be getting more minutes and, having a strong support system, I remember specifically, and I had a school at that point that was ready to take me. And it was a D1 school. HBCU, and it was just like, talking to my dad at that point, like, listen, man, I was frustrated. I was mad. We had just came off the year that we went 31-1, and it was like going into my junior year. It was like, yo, it's my time now. You know what I mean? Like, I had my specific role on that squad, but now it's my time to be a leader. And at the beginning of the year, things just weren't working out the way that I thought they would. And I was frustrated. I was mad. It was, F this, I'm out. I reached out to the coach that I had met in the summer that was interested in asking a lot of questions like, yo, why you out of Delphi? Like, you should be here and things like that. So, I hit him up like, yo, what's up? You got space for me? And he's like, yeah, come now, whatever. And I'm talking to my dad, and my dad's like, yo, and this is something as a young player that you might not necessarily think about at the time because you're so caught up in your emotion. He's like, yo, have you even sat down and talked to the coach yet? And I'm like, nah. You know what I mean? Like, he ain't say nothing to me, that, and I'm being stubborn. He's like, he ain't talk to me, he ain't tell me nothing, and it's just like, nah, just talk to him, just see, let him hear your frustrations of why you're mad, see what he thinks, and maybe you're able to come to some type of, median. Maybe he can tell you why he's doing the things. Maybe he can give you a better understanding. Maybe he just needs to hear your side too and make him rethink things. And so I went and had that conversation, and we were able to, he heard my frustration, and he at that point anyway was about to make a change, was something I had no idea about. You know what I mean? He's like, nah, you got to be playing more. Like, I see it now. You know what I mean? I thought, and we had just talked about this in the coaching earlier in the pod, was like, yo, I had it set in my head a certain way from the beginning of the year. This is what your position was going to be. But after the first 5 games, I see that's not going to work.
Right.
And this is the change that we're going to make. And it was like, oh, wow. And it was like, that was that easy. Like, I just had to go talk to him. And I know it's not going to be like that for every player. But, I was so ready to be gone, that it was like, nah, again, we just said, take the time to really make sure that the decision is the right decision for you. And it's not something just, yo, I'm out of here. And having, like you said, my dad knew me better than, I might know myself at times. So he like, nah, go talk, go express your concerns first, and then make your decision after that conversation. And then it turned out like I didn't need to go nowhere, so for you players out there, like we just said, man, that it is not something that is just like, let me do this. It's a very big, important decision. So make sure you take the time to do your due diligence and look at every single aspect, uncover every corner of it before you do make that decision. And make sure you got them grades. Because you're going to be 6 years in and ain't playing no ball.
Got 24 credits. With a whole
oh man,
a whole way to go.
Let's hop into our players' points, man. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and start this one off. I know how to put an adequate workout together when you don't have a trainer.
Man, it's a lot of different ways that you could do it. Now with social media, there's a whole lot of guys, myself included, that post a lot of information on different skills that you can put into a drill sequence to get an adequate workout. And at this point, if you're a high school player and you are serious about playing basketball, you should be self-motivated enough. You may just not know the proper channels or what an adequate workout would look like. So I'm here to outline what an adequate workout, in my opinion, is, depending upon what it is that you're working on. I'm just going to give you basic, pure foundational stuff that you should always basically be working on. So I'm going to say that you should spend anywhere between 15 to 25 minutes doing ball handling. The reason why I say 15 to 25 minutes is because you should be working at a speed and repetition that replicates game-like situations. So in that 15 to 25 minutes, you can keep doing 2-minute intervals of whatever it may be, stationary, and break it up in that fashion. For 2 minutes I'm gonna go hard, then for 45 seconds I'm gonna take off, then 2 minutes I'm gonna change it up and go hard, and whatever it may be, between the legs, behind the bag, between the cross, stationary stuff that you're doing. Just again, when you're working on this is about really trying to complete it at an intense speed, like game like replication, so that 15 to 25 minutes becomes very impactful. My point to that is, and I'm gonna speak to this all the time because many of y'all kids talk to me about this, about how much I'll be in the gym. I don't keep in the gym for 3-4 hours. That tells me nothing about what you do. I
Right.
get someone is in the gym for an hour, hour and a half, that means that person was maxing out their reps, whatever they're working on. And it doesn't necessarily mean that everything has to be high intense cardio, whatever. But for that hour, I may be focusing on my release, my form, what I'm doing as it relates to me shooting the basketball. And that's a mental stress, because that's maybe not be such a physical taxing stress when you're doing catch and shoots. But the fact that I'm focusing on my balance, my release, me holding through everything, what that feels like, looks like, that's me working out. That's me stressing my mental muscle to concentrate and be able to do and focus in on my habits and replicate them and duplicate them over and over and over and over again, so that it becomes something that I've learned to the point I don't know anything else. So
Right.
that's important. So I'm talking about this in small increments. So from there, after you finish that 15 to 25 minutes of ball handling, you got to get into a finishing game. And part of that finishing game, you can start right underneath the basket. Everybody knows the mic and drill, one side, one side. Then you can go inside hand, and then obviously you could turn around and you could be using that as finishes as well. And what you're doing is you're creating an orientation with your release and the touch off the backboard in different and various ways. We all know that you're not going to always be able to traditionally just go to the basket and lay it up. You're going to have to avoid people, and it may have you finishing in some compromising positions. So working on just your dexterity, your ability to consistently get that rotation on spin on the ball and finish off the backboard, that is an adequate way of learning how to improve your finishing game. Right. So you can do reps of those where you can say, all right, I want to make 40 or 20 or whatever it may be, 10 on each hand, or you can put that against time as well and see how many you can make in a certain amount of time. That again, we took care of the ball handling, we took care of the finishing. And then I'm gonna always say you have to do a shitload of form shooting. Form shooting. I didn't say go to the free throw line. I didn't say back up to the middle of the paint. I said form shooting, which means that you're in close and tight to the rim. And the name of the game is focusing on the base all the way through the wrist and making sure that you're consistent with that fluidity. It should be a fluid motion, no jagged stuff. You should make sure that your hand has a pocket between the basketball and your hand, so the ball shouldn't be laid here like a waiter. You know what I mean? Where you're doing this with the basketball, it should be a follow through with your release with your fingers, releasing the basketball.
I don't want to see none of this.
But with you, I don't want to see this. I'm not gonna lie to you, but there are players who can straighten this up, and I don't know why.
Right.
This is not gonna work. But I have seen players, I don't know why it is, they'll catch it and they'll bring like that elbow underneath them to shoot it.
Right.
Depending on your skill set. If you're 16, 17 years old and you are a top player and this is what you do, yes, I'm gonna tell you there's some certain things that you need to improve on where that's concerned. But at this point, it's hard. It's gonna take a whole lot of deconstruction, and you're gonna lose a whole lot of confidence. And at that age, that's the last thing you need. So those are my three things I think that you can do as a player, and this is daily: rain, snow, sleet, hail, whatever it is that's going on out there. That you working on those things, and they can dramatically improve your ability to play the game. Period, from a skill perspective.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I would pretty much say the same thing. because of our ability to connect to social media so easy, and there's so many videos. I mean, YouTube, so many things out there that you can connect to so quickly as players, to utilize it. And another thing that you could do is you could reach out to your coaches, your high school coaches, and just ask them on things they think that you need to work on. And then you can go look it up, you know? Like Mar just said, like the basics are important, you know? Having that foundation is important. Your fundamentals are important. They will be able to help you build as a basketball player. So you should always be working on your ball handling, and everything that you do should relate to game. You know, I mean, obviously, if you're working on form shooting, that doesn't relate to game per se, as in terms of the movement of how you're moving,
Right.
but that does relate unto your shot, which is a very important. And you and I know how important it is that the foundation of your shot, how strong it needs to be. You know, and players really do overlook that, of not wanting to break down and go to the front of the rim, close to the basket to work on their form because it's boring.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I know you posted it the other day about that. And I guess who cares about boring? Because the Steph Currys of the world, the Klay Thompsons of the world, the best shooters in the world, guess what? They still break down and do form shooting. They still work on their fundamentals so that their base and their foundation is strong. That's how they're able to shoot the ball so far out consistently, because the foundation, the fluidity is there, the muscle memory is there, the strength is there from the form shooting. So that's something that you guys can do, man. Like, and just ask, man, if you're a basketball player and let's say you just don't have the access or, you know, monetary, the money to get a trainer all the time or whatever case may be, like, just be a sponge and a student and ask questions wherever you can. And like, you can, I don't want to say you can self-train yourself, but you can get enough information out there for yourself to do the basics, man. The basics. And if you're a basketball player, you know what the basics are, you know, at this point, you know, especially a high school kid, you know, maybe a younger player isn't looking to do all these things. Like, you know, if you're 8, 9 years old, yeah, you still could go into YouTube and find and look, and, you know, maybe you have a little bit more guidance at that point. I don't know. But if you're a basketball player, my bad. If you're a basketball player, a high school basketball player, you know what the basics are, and you can work on those things. And there are people out here like Mar that post things for you guys to go and do. Don't look at it and be like, nah, that's dope, you know. But that's it, man. I agree with everything you said. I mean, it would be it's the same thing I gotta, you know, I would hark on. Like, I mean, another thing too, man, like, it is important. Like, it ain't always just about the skill point. I mean, it's also about your body and conditioning too. So those are all things that you can work on by yourself, and that will aid you into your basketball game. Because in this game, the players that are in better shape tend to last a little longer and able to perform and do things a little longer. So that's very important for you players out there, is to take care of your bodies. It's not always just about the skill part.
That's a fact. Yeah, man. We did it again.
We did it again. Episode 14. We here, man. I tell you, we keep moving. Next thing you know, bro, we gonna have 25 out. We gonna have 50 out. I got my eyes on you, all the smoke. You only got 77 episodes out, man. We coming. We coming for y'all.
We got
for our 75th episode, man. I'm calling it now. We gonna be on the pod with Steven. We're gonna be on the pod with Matt Barnes. We're gonna be out there, bro.
I mean, yeah, we definitely we're gonna bring some more guests on, because I Junior last week. Make sure y'all go check that one out, episode 13. For all you players, coaches, parents, this is a great pod for decision making as it pertains to junior college and versus a 4-year school. And I think it's a lot that you could learn from that conversation.
Right.
But
absolutely.
On that, man. I had some people hit me up. Thank you for hitting me up. They said they want to hear about some body stuff, like, oh, what kind of workouts should I do for my legs and this, that, and the third. So I think that we could bring a potential guest on that could give us some education and some
We
background.
got y'all. We got y'all.
So yeah, man, really appreciate all the support, subscribers, people reaching out. There's a couple people that reached out and want to be on the pod. I'm cool with y'all.
Right.
I just want y'all to understand, like, you have to have. I do look at your Instagram. I do look at what you putting out there, and if it ain't right, we not letting you come up on here. And it's not even that we have this huge platform. It's just make sure that you check yourself before you reach out and say, "Yo, I want to be on the pod," because we serious about what we do. This ain't like no game, or we're not here to have some drama, some satire on what we got going on here. This is just us talking real basketball talk and trying to really help people. So yes, I am going through your Instagram. So if you out in the club and you smoking, drinking on your Instagram page, it's like, bro, I that don't really reflect what this brand is about right now, what we're trying to do. So
right.
You could be a great basketball mind and have a whole lot of value, but at the same time, people are going to, if you're a guest, come on here, and if we're gonna plug your contact and stuff like that, it's just a reflection of what we represent, and we want to.
Right.
You understand? You want to party, you want to turn up, and all of that. That's cool and whatnot, but we keep that. So make sure that you do those things as well, man. And we're gonna look forward to more people reaching out, man, as we keep going on this journey.
Right. Absolutely, man. If you missed it in the beginning, you could do it now. Go on YouTube, search that Hoop Chat, hit that subscribe and like button, and also share, man. Share it. Let your people know that we got some good information out here. We out here for the people, like Mar just said, man. Like, we take pride in the content that we put out because we know it's to aid and push the culture forward, and we really take pride, and this is our passion. So please help us grow. Go ahead, hop on that marsbball.com. Check out the merch for hoodies, t-shirts. I mean, for the one that he got on right there, look out for the Mars man. Like, he's got a lot of things coming out for the spring. So go ahead and hop on marsbball.com, support the brand, support the person. And again, just like we want you to help the Hoop Chat grow, please help Mars Basketball grow as well. For me, I got some stuff coming out for Wayne's World for the summer that I'm happy about. I'm excited about. I got some things in the works. And then I know, stay tuned. We're gonna have some things coming out for the Hoop Chat for you guys, and some gear as we continue to grow. So please, man, support. Again, any questions? He just said you could ask if you want to be on the show. Anything, hit him up on IG. You could hit me up at Coach Nelly, or you could directly hit the Hoop Chat. One of us will respond to you. And again, positive things. Keep it positive. If you want to be on the show, just ask. And I'm gonna say this: just ask once. We see requests. I've had a couple people in the last couple of weeks hit me up and be like, "Yo, what's up?" And it's like, "Yo, I saw that you asked once. I told you I'll get back to you, and I'm gonna get back to you." You know what I mean? Like, we got you. We're growing. So let us take the steps that we need to grow.
Like, we don't have executive producers and all of that stuff like that.
Right. It's just us, as you see.
You know what I'm saying? And I do have 2 other businesses that I'm working on as well. So it's trying to and it's no excuse, but we just got a lot that we got going on, man. So it's no disrespect if we not right back at you with it. Right. No, absolutely. We see you, we hear you, and we do appreciate you, because that means you are listening to the pod. You are hearing what we are talking and giving out, and you do want to be a part. So we do appreciate you. So we will get back to you guys. But that wraps us up, man. Another show in the books. Sure.
Episode 14. Stay tuned for next week, and we out of here. And again, the most important thing is to inspire the next person to be great at whatever they choose to do. And we out here.
Yes, sir.
We want to welcome everybody to the Hoop Chat. The Hoop Chat. Excited about this topic right here, dog. Let's go. I learned how to win in college.
Process, right?
Absolutely. Separate the men from the boys. It will separate the real from the fake. It will separate the committed from the uncommitted, who really loves the game and who really don't.
Your network equals your net worth. 25 years of experience.
Like, oh man, yeah, let's get to work. Let's get to work.